Hey everybody, welcome back to GWN. I'm Noctair, your host. So we're continuing our wrap-up of Builder Hall 8 today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about an attack strategy called Big Bart. Now, if you guys have been playing the game for a while, and watching my videos for a while, you'll know that a Bart is Raged Barbarians and Cannon Carts. Well, a Big Bart adds bombers and boxer giants to that. Now, there's kind of an interim attack strategy that we did a video on just a few days back called Bombarian Carts. And that one, of course, has bombers, Raged Barbarians, and Cannon Carts. So the addition of giants to these attack strategies gives you a little additional tanking. And some people prefer that. You can go either way, I really think. Some people will take a lot more Raged Barbarians and then just the timing of the way you send in the Raged Barbarians, especially against the Crushers, will make the biggest difference. But others like to add a little bit of additional tanking so they have a little more life out of their troops, especially out of the Cannon Carts, which usually make it to the end of a Big Bart attack. You'll usually have at least one, if not two, and then they and the battle machine will finish the cleanup on the base and end the attack with usually a mid to upper 2-star, or in the case of these replays, 3 stars. Now, these replays are against max bases, and I want to say Dorian was hanging around, maybe it was 5,100? It was a little above 5,000 cups. So, I mean, these are good, strong bases and decent players he was going up against when he got these 3 stars. He's on a real 3-star roll right now. I don't know why, but Dorian has just been cranking out one 3-star after another. I mean, obviously, he's a really good player because he can switch very nimbly from one attack strategy to another. And what's interesting about his way of playing is that a lot of times he'll just, when he's pushing trophies, he'll just run, an attack strategy for a while, not so much tied to the base, and then he'll switch it up and start running another attack strategy for a while. It's really interesting when you get on the clan chat and everybody's playing and they're just running between one strategy to the next. But talking a little bit about Big Bart here, obviously, it's a method attack, meaning that it has a very clear ABC 1, 2, 3 step-by-step kind of process. And the way it works, the first thing you do is you clear any extraneous buildings and walls. So you're going to send one Raged Barbarian on each of the army camps, or I don't know, the battle machine pad, or maybe there might be some mines or gold mines or elixir collectors on the outside. Whatever is hanging around the outside of the base, you're going to hit it typically with just one Raged Barbarian and let them take it down. At that point, you're going to clear any walls that might be around, the barricade walls like you see in this particular base. And then finally, you start to send your bombers against the main wall that is guarding entry into the hub of the base. Once that wall comes down, your boxer giants go in, your cannon carts go in. Cannon carts, you want to send them in a way that they're going to work their way over to that first and nearest crusher. As is the case with any ground attack, the crusher really is your biggest problem. There are definitely issues with the giant cannon, don't get me wrong, and for that matter, even the multi-mortar. But in these attacks, one crusher drop can completely wipe out a whole pad or pod or whatever of Raged Barbarians, and that's obviously going to be a problem because you won't have the oomph you need to make it to the end of the attack. But take that out with the cannon carts, usually from a protective space because they're obviously running behind that main defensive line of boxer giants and maybe even Raged Barbarians, and you don't have to worry about it. The second crusher will usually get taken down either by the remaining cannon carts or by the battle machine. Sometimes the boxer giants will get it, or even the Raged Barbarians, depending upon the timing, but usually it's going to be those. Once that's down, you're kind of in the home stretch. It really comes down to the timing of the attack, the way you drop your troops. And to be honest, I really think that's the case with just about any of these attacks. If you drop them too fast, then a lot of times what ends up happening is you overwhelm those initial defenses, but that second layer of defenses takes out whatever it is that you're overwhelming. And when you're dealing with ground attacks, if you send them in too fast, those crushers will get you every time. So here we got another replay, third of 4. All of them run about 2 minutes long. And you'll see that Dorian is doing the exact same thing, starting off by taking out those extraneous buildings. And then once he gets them down, he'll start to take out any of the barricade walls that are around it, like that first one down there on the lower left-hand side, if you will. And with those gone, you have a straight shot to the main walls that are protecting the juicy center of the base. If you can line it up, this is kind of a skill. It's a bit of an art form, actually. If you can line it up with the middle of one of those 5-piece walls, your bomber will take the entire wall down on his single volley, because you've got the big bomb tactic, that the special ability that comes when you're doing your very first throw. But it's tough to line them up on that middle chunk, if you will, the middle bumper, whatever you want to call it. I like to just put my finger right on it, and if there's nothing in front of the wall, that'll drop them in the right place. Otherwise, you got to kind of line it up on the game grid and try to make it work. And depending upon your device, you might be a little off to one side or the other, in which case it's going to take 2 hits to take out that barricade wall. Keep that in mind when you're dropping those bombers, though, because, as I've said before, the timing is everything. If you take too long to get rid of a barricade wall, instead of going straight forward, your troops are going to go around the side. If you take too long to get rid of a barricade wall, you can't send in that next bomber to open up the inside of the base. So the initial run of the first bomber or two to clear out those barricade walls, absolutely important. And if that means that you drop a giant to soak up any defensive fire while your bombers are working through a bunch of them, well, that's what you do then. Just make sure that you give them the time they need to get those walls out of the way, so that when you do finally drop the bulk of your troops, you're able to send them in the right cadence. Last replay coming up here now. Not a whole lot more to say really about this strategy. It's just that method, that 1, 2, 3 type of thing, like I said. And if you can follow that, you're going to see good results. I want to say that most of the guys are getting mid-60s to mid-70s with this. Not a lot of 3 stars. I mean, it just kind of depends on, the luck of the day. Sometimes you'll just pull 1 3-star after another, and then other days you can barely get 2 stars. That's just the way this game is. But those who master this particular strategy will typically get somewhere in the mid-60s, which is usually enough to win most of your matches, assuming you've got a decent enough base. Most players right now are running maximum on their Builder Hall 8. They've got everything's maxed out. So as long as you're not using some kind of crazy base design, you're going to be okay. I like the asymmetrical bases for this one mostly, because they tend to have a big open middle, and that just really works well for these melee attacks where you're bum rushing all the defenses, sending a whole bunch of stuff in at one time, whether it's a Bart or Bombarian Cart or a big Bart. Anytime you're seeking to overwhelm, as long as you can send them all into the middle, that really works well. Does not work well against heavily compartmentalized bases. There are some bases that will have like 6, 7, 8 compartments that maybe it's a 3x3 or a 3x3x6 or something like that. Those kinds of bases, you're not going to use these kinds of attacks on. Really, ground attacks don't work well against those bases at all. You want it to be relatively open, even if you have to break through a wall or two, in order to get the ground attacks to work, so that you can get your high percentage 2-star or 3-star. So there you have it, guys. Big Bart, another ground attack strategy that works great at Builder Hall 8, and I'm sure it'll work great at Builder Hall 9 too. Comments, questions down below. Thanks a lot for sticking around to the end of the video. We've got a couple more of these to go, and then hopefully we'll start looking towards Builder Hall 9, maybe get some sneak peeks in the way of from Supercell over the next couple weeks. We'll have to wait and see. Take care, and y'all keep on clashing. Bye-bye.